And today, a big match programme, longer than usual, to bring you a complete assessment, with action, of England's task in the World Cup in Mexico next summer, in the light of last night's draw in Mexico City. And here to provide that assessment, Geoff Hurst, scorer of 3 memorable goals in that 1966 final, no doubt in a happy mood today, having scored one of the goals yesterday that gave West Ham victory over Sheffield Wednesday. And Malcolm Allison of Manchester City, acknowledged as one of the finest of modern coaches, and presumably he not quite so pleased with life today, having seen Coventry City beat his side by 3-0. And expert analysis, of course, from our own Jimmy Hill. But before that, as usual, the big match ration of powerful action from yesterday's games. First, from White Hart Lane, Spurs against Derby, and the return there of Dave Mackay.
But he gets it through now to Hinton. Hector racing on ahead of him. Hector, beautiful play there by Derby County, and a good piece of work there by Jennings.
Old Trafford, Peter Marinello, here he is in his first game for Arsenal against Manchester United. And filling our big match studio with still more big soccer names, Dave Mackay of Derby County and Alan Mullery of Spurs, to give us a new slant to that Tottenham game, which is where we start now. Spurs against Derby, and that highly emotional moment when Dave Mackay, so long a favourite at Tottenham, returns as skipper of Derby.
This really was a wonderful day for me, coming back to White Hart Lane. This is the day I've dreamed about since Derby won promotion last year, and it was very nice to come back there.
Dave Mackay, who broke his leg twice in the service of Spurs, and a really glorious career he had there, and a great reception from the crowd. But today, Spurs field a side that swept past Bradford City in a replay on Wednesday, but they so often look strangely vulnerable on their own ground this season, and no doubt they'll be very pleased indeed that their big number 5, Mike England, is back in their defence. He's missed several weeks with an ankle injury and went off before the end on Wednesday. Spurs, I think, are going to need him against this Derby County side that lies 5th in the First Division. Robson is unfit at full-back, so Peter Daniel gets a rare chance, and at number 9, Frank Wignall, so often a substitute, comes in for the injured O'Hare. The crowd, 38,000 strong, and they still have one more salute for Dave Mackay. The referee, Jim Finney.
So it's a match that is charged with all the right sort of emotions here at White Hart Lane, with so much respect and affection for Dave Mackay, skipper of Derby County, now defending that goal to our left in the dark shirts, all blue in fact. Perryman looking for Gilzine, cut out by McFarland, and Spurs with so much to play for. They want to beat their old chum Dave Mackay, but above all they want to revenge that 5-0 defeat up at the baseball ground in September. A really astonishing result, and one that Spurs won't likely forget. Here's Hinton, beaten away by Kinnear, and finally England getting it away to Perryman. So much rain on this pitch in the last 24 hours, and in fact at midday it was completely covered in water, but the drainage here, which was overhauled in the summer, really has done its job. It'll be very heavy with so much sand on it. Kinnear. Kinnear again. Gilzine. A nice little kick inside for Pearce. Not too much support for him though. Gilzine again. Still only Greaves right in the middle. This is going towards Greaves, and very well read though by Webster. Webster read that well and got in number 2 before Greaves. Could have been dangerous. Kinnear with a throw. Gilzine with one of those delicate flick-ons. Coming through now to Morgan. Knowles. To Perryman. And Tottenham's ball, says Mr. Finney, having glanced off a Derby player. Joe Kinnear to take it. Gilzine trying to come away from McFarland, and McFarland's feet were rather high, but he gets it through now to Hinton. Hector racing on ahead of him. Hector, beautiful play there by Derby County, and a good piece of work there by Jennings. Hector was really right through, and Jennings did a wonderful job for Tottenham then. That really was a good break by Derby. Wignall's pass to Hector that caught Philip Beale and the whole of the Spurs defence out. Saved by Jennings, and now Gilzean to rise to try and flick it on. Beale again, beaten in the air, Wignall! Oh, and again Jennings! And now Hector, can he finish it off? Down goes Jennings again, no penalty, says referee Finney. And two enormous scares in that Tottenham defence. Split wide open. And now Mallory. Brought down by Carlin, and Mallory not happy with it. Jim Finney, the firm peacemaker. What a wonderful thing it would be to eavesdrop, and good to see that the referee, although admonishing the players, can still smile with it. And a handshake. Knowles with the free kick for Tottenham, slanting it presumably towards Gilzean. Here it is, towards Gilzean, and he's beaten in the air again. Morgan to Kinnear. Oh, a nice little flick there for Pearce. First time cross. There's Green. Beale is dogged enough, and he slipped at the wrong moment. Wignall away. Hector is roaring into the middle, Kevin Hector. And the linesman's flag up on the far side. Presumably offside against Hector. Gilzean to Morgan. Hinton. And Hector. Oh, he gave the free kick to Derby County, and I think had he delayed that whistle a second or so, it's easy to say it, then Hector would have been right through. One of those very difficult decisions for referees, whether to let it go on or whether to stop it there and then, but it's indicating quite clearly an indirect free kick then, which Dave Mackay is setting up for Derby County. Aim towards Hector. And Webster trying to bang one. Knowles. Gilzean getting up. And Mackay finding Dirk. Jumped over very nicely by Hector. Now Carlin. Hector looking a real threat to Tottenham in this first 20 minutes or so. Hinton. Oh, and Jennings was really stretched for that one. Curling in under that crossbar. He really had to dive that fist out and push that one away. Now Mallory. Morgan. And Pearce calling for it down the left. Pearce, Morgan. Now curling one, Greaves, can he control it? The ball bouncing about there like a pin machine there for a moment or two. And the upshot of it is a corner for Spurs, and Greaves so very closely to controlling that ball inside the 6-yard box. England now right up on the edge of the penalty area. The big number 5 scored several good goals with his head from corners, and perhaps Pearce will be aiming for him. Wignall right back with him. That's what England wants. And he's not going to get it. Kinnear back to Pearce again. Low and half, Greaves! Oh, what a goal by Greaves! Oh, what a superb header by Greaves. So there we are, 23 minutes gone. Spurs ahead. And people came here to applaud Dave Mackay, but they really cheer when Greaves bangs one in, and it's not often that they see him bang one in with his head. And certainly a Greaves goal has for so long escaped us on the big match, and now we've got a real great one from Jimmy Greaves. Gilzean, watched by McFarland. And Gilzean beating his man. And Gilzean again. Pearce trying to get under it. And getting under it well. Nobody there to finish it off. And Mackay coming in. And now McFarland. Spurs keeping this pressure up though. Knowles. Pearce wanting it at his feet, and Knowles delaying it just a little too long, I think. Greaves. And played into touch by Daniel. Greaves. Oh, played beautifully there. And Green going out. Can Morgan get in? Green still hasn't got it. And Mackay to the rescue. And not at all happy that it's a corner. Mackay obviously felt that they had got off a Spurs player. And Jim Finney making sure that the press photographers are back a safe distance. Mackay, who really has come to the rescue of Derby in these last couple of minutes. England getting his head under it. Flicked on and flicked away again by Mackay. Mallory! There wasn't too much room for Mallory to shoot there because that penalty area was really packed. So Green to take the goal kick in a very lively game here. And Beale finding Mallory, and if Mackay has been urging his men on, then Mallory certainly has been doing a tremendous job in the middle for Tottenham this afternoon so far. Now it's Gilzean. Played for Greaves. Getting in. Oh, well played by Greaves. Mallory! That really was a marvellous piece of work and a very tight situation by Greaves. And surprising how quickly Mallory had gone up into a shooting position as well. Now Wignall to Hinton. Knowles away, but only as far as Carlin. Now Hector with a bit of space. Can he get a shot? No. Knowles really went storming across that penalty area. But a corner to Derby. Hinton coming across to take it. Webster's gone up for a short one and Greaves has gone alongside him. Aim towards Wignall, and good catching by Jennings. Good judgment and good catching at the end of it. Carlin, very determined piece of play by him, and McGovern showing too much of it to Knowles. Knowles again. Oh, not looking and allowing Hinton to come in and take it. Not given any warning that Hinton was coming up so quickly from the back. Here's McGovern again. Hector. Having quite a battle against Beale, and down he goes, a free kick. And a yard and a half further on, and that most definitely would have been a penalty. well, perhaps 4 yards at any rate. But it's a Tottenham wall that faces what could be a troublesome moment. And Jim Finney pacing out 10 yards. And Tottenham's idea of 10 yards and his idea of 10 yards really don't coincide. And wait, says referee Finney, until I say. It's going to be Hinton who can bang it. No, it's not. It's Carlin Mackay who can also bang one to Durban. Almost getting through. And now Gilzean away. Still Gilzean now. Greaves, he's offside. He's offside. And in fairness to the linesman, his flag was up as Greaves ran onto that ball long before he planted it past Green. McGovern. Oh, neatly beating Morgan. Oh, and a good pass here to Wignall. Hector. And England away. Webster to Mackay. Now he'd dearly love to get an equaliser, Mackay. So there goes the half-time whistle, and that goal by Jimmy Greaves in the arms of Dave Mackay, putting Spurs ahead by a goal to nil at half-time. Still to come on the big match, highlights of Manchester United against Arsenal, but the half-time score here at White Hart Lane is Spurs 1, Derby County 0. More soccer for you in just a couple of minutes. So Spurs then preparing to kick off for this second half. Now defending the goal to our left. This goal up by Jimmy Greaves. And it's Greaves now pushing it back to Alan Mullery. Wignall losing it out to England. Perriman. Now Greaves. Oh, Greaves! And McFarlane cutting it out, and a goal kick. McFarlane really covered some ground there to get that foot in. Well, they had many great years together, of course, at Tottenham. Hector. Beale. So a throw to Derby, and they really haven't shown anyone yet with a liking for the long throw or an ability to throw a really long ball, and it's from that sort of position. So Knowles gets it away. Mackay missing out. Carlin, such a brave little player, going in when Knowles was coming full pelt to him. Now Hinton who can shoot, and that was going just inside that far post. It hit Hector, his own teammate, and if that hadn't hit Hector, I have a nasty feeling for Spurs that that would have crept just inside the post. And Hinton really can hit him. Mullery to Knowles. Mallory again. And a foul given against Durban on Mallory, holding him back. And not much has gone unnoticed by referee Jim Finney this afternoon. Pushing Knowles back a couple of yards. Gilzine at the far side, hoping for this one onto his head, but that won't reach him. Mackay away to Wignall. And Beale closing in very quickly, very much more quickly in this second half on Hector.
Get down.
And Mackay misheading it a little bit, but finding Green. Mackay. Hector to Wignall, played out neatly now for Durban, and played in first time by Durban very intelligently indeed. And they get a corner. Hinton's going to take it. And there are plenty of men in blue coming forward indeed. Only Dave Mackay is staying back now. He is just inside the Tottenham half of the field, and everybody else is forward. And Knowles, after a little scare in that Tottenham defence, gets it through to Greaves. Greaves beating Carlin. Oh, straight to Durban. And now Hector completely unmarked on the left. Again, Beale closing quickly on him. And a corner. So it's Hinton with the corner. Twisted away, coming through now to Webster. And just over! And certainly there is so much more chance of Derby doing something the more men they are piling forward, which is obviously what they're aiming to do now. Carlin. And now Morgan. To England. And Mackay is up in chase, and so too is Gilzine. Coming in very rapidly, causing a little bit of panic there. And Mackay finally putting it away for a corner. A little bit of a misunderstanding there between number 5 McFarland and number 6 Mackay, and Gilzine not helping it by coming in there and harassing them as much as he possibly could, causing things to happen in that penalty area. So it's a corner then to Spurs. England well up there, Morgan well up there, and now Perryman to try one. Morgan, and now Greaves is offside. He's offside. He's not happy, but he's offside. So one valid goal to Jimmy Greaves today and 2 offside goals. And Durban in a bit of distress. And Dave Mackay explaining just why Jimmy Greaves was offside.
Come on, wait for me. Come on, wait.
Oh, come on, the game isn't as bad as that, surely. Wignall to Durban. Durban, who's been pushed forward more and more in this second half as Derby look for the equaliser. Wignall. Good play by Beale to Perryman. Pearce, oh, running straight into trouble, and Perryman getting it out of it and then getting into trouble himself as Carlin now finds Wignall. Two big men, Wignall and England. Derby's ball, and Wignall with it. Daniel right up. Almost getting it through too. Mallory and Greaves. Oh, one for Gilzine, and he's onside. He's got Morgan up in support. And there it is! Oh, a beautiful goal! Morgan to finish it off. Greaves and Gilzine to make it. A truly great goal. Well, it was Greaves and Gilzine who fashioned it, and it was Morgan who darted in to finish it off. Durban. And that really does diminish the prospects of Dave Mackay having a happy return to Tottenham. And it increases the prospects of Spurs getting some revenge for that terrible defeat at Derby earlier this season. Perryman, who learns with every game in the First Division, only 18 years old. But as I say, how good to see that Spurs have kept faith with him this season. They've given him his chance and they've stuck with him. Mackay to Carlin. Goes Webster, and Perryman in the thick of it again, and a corner. Just under a quarter of an hour to go, and Derby are going to need big hearts to get something out of this game now. A lot of men coming forward for this corner from Hinton, including McFarlane, the big number 5. Gilzine back with him. And England, oh, not getting to it, McFarlane getting to it, Gilzine breasting it away. Pearce. To Greaves. Kinnear free on the right, here's Kinnear, good play by Tottenham. Mackay closing in, and now through, and Pearce goes down, but Jim Finney's not fooled. But another example of a good counter-attack by Spurs. Beale beating Hector to it, but the ball had gone over for the throw to Derby. It's Webster. Put a low one in towards Wignall. Morgan. Finding Gilzine. Oh, Greaves and Gilzine between them, somehow finding Mallory. Perryman to Kinnear. Perryman. Pearce. To his skipper Mallory. Gilzine to leap for it, and only to get it under pressure, but it's gone over for a goal kick. Alan Durban to Alan Hinton, and Morgan right back. That was good dogged play by McGovern to shake off Mallory in that fashion, and he's won a free kick for Derby. Carlin taking it quickly to spread it out towards Hinton. And one towards the far post for Wicknell to go for. Although it was Hector who got his head to it in the end. Webster to McFarland. Durban to Hector. Jennings calling for it, and England turning a deaf ear to Pat Jennings' shouts. So it's Hinton. Fair bit of pushing and shoving. And Kinnear, says the referee, is the guilty one. So Dave Mackay with the kick for Derby. Daniel right up there, putting it straight in. And Wicknell, oh, he was a little slow there. Carlin! Carlin! When Spurs thought they were safe, Carlin screwed that little leg of his round and makes it 2-1. So Derby now come back into this game with something like 4 minutes left. Willie Carlin gets his 6th goal of the season. And Spurs just that little bit slack in defence. They thought they were safe and they didn't reckon with the fighting heart of Willie Carlin. Now McGovern. And Hector away. Watched by Beale. Now Derby's throw. They're going to push everything at Tottenham now. Wicknell. And they've got a corner. And now this really is the moment for Derby. They've really got to press Spurs now for these remaining 4 minutes or so. Plenty of men coming forward. McFarland, one of them, who's quite a damp hand at scoring with headers from corners. Fisted away, headed back by McGovern, and away for another corner by Gilzean. The pressure really on Tottenham. Wicknell in the 6-yard box to make things difficult for Jennings. Here comes the corner again, a low one and not a good one. Planted away, but Mackay could put it back again. And Spurs, in fact, by the way that Knowles wasn't prepared to run very fast after that ball, at the moment give the impression of being content to hang on. But Derby are coming for them again. This time it's Daniel. To Carlin. And Carlin beaten away. So it's Greaves. And of course there's always a chance with Derby coming forward in such numbers that Spurs might yet catch them out at the back. But not with passes like that. So Mackay, on my watch, something like 2.5 minutes to go. Mackay, so it really begins to look as though it's no happy homecoming for him. Wicknell taking that one from Daniel, oh, but playing it much too close to Kinnear. Perryman to England. England again. Carlin, oh, to Durban, and now to Wicknell with a great chance, just wide of Jennings, who just gets that hand to it. That so nearly was the equaliser. Durban. And Spurs, for so long coasting, now really hanging on in these last couple of minutes. And there goes the final whistle. And not a moment too soon for Spurs. Goals by Jimmy Greaves, who put Spurs ahead with that header. Roger Morgan, who scored the second one. And then Willie Carlin, who gave us that really exciting climax by pulling one back for Derby County. So the final score here at White Hart Lane is Spurs 2, Derby County 1.
So it wasn't a happy homecoming for Dave Mackay after all. But Dave is our big match guest today. Indeed, we got the skippers of both sides yesterday afternoon. Dave Mackay of Derby County, Alan Mullery of Spurs, and with them is Jimmy Hill.
Fair result, Dave?
I think it was a fair result in the finish. We played very well to start. We had chances earlier on in the game, but I think the 2-1 was, I would accept that.
What about you, Alan?
I agree, Jim. I think it was a fair result. As Dave said, they played very well early on. They could have had possibly 1 or 2 goals.
I've never seen footballers agree quite like this. You weren't agreeing as well
Well,
as
we're
old
old teammates, you see. We don't agree on the pitch, but we agree, like, I think outside the game, you know, we're inclined to agree.
It was a very emotional day, as we've seen. Did you feel anything for Dave? I mean, he sort of came, or you came to have to replace Dave, didn't you? What did you
Yes,
feel
yeah.
about it?
I felt emotionally for me, to be honest with anything, you know.
Yeah.
Because I think if we'd have been beaten yesterday, I'd have had the letters and the jibs and jibes that people have been giving, you know, as far as Dave goes, you know. So, as far as I was concerned, we had to win yesterday.
That's a very interesting
You
sidelight on it, because
Yeah.
I don't think my own view is that the Spurs fans haven't accepted you, say, in the way that I accept you as a critic, and even Alf Ramsey accepts you as a
Yeah,
member of
I
the
wouldn't
team.
say they haven't accepted me. I think they have, you know. But it was, you see, he's been such a phenomenon at the club,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fella, you know, in everything he's done.
Look at him smiling
And,
away there. A legend
love it,
in his
love it,
own
yeah.
lifetime. That's an overdone phrase, but I think when you come back after 2 broken legs and captain a side that's got promotion, I think that could be said, Dave. That's enough. You're not going to get any more praise than that. Now, what about allowing Greaves to get this goal? His first league goal since early November. What do you think about that? Should you have let him get it?
Well, it's an impossible thing, really. I mean, it's very, very hard. He does it. You don't let him get it. He just gets them, and it's very, very hard to stop him.
Well, here it is coming up now. There's the cross from
Actually, I
Pierce.
thought I was going to head of this ball. It swerved slightly.
That's you, the first
Yes,
one
first
there.
one. Never got off the ground.
And look at the power there.
Tremendous header, wasn't it? Great header.
You know, one of the dangers you'll always find Jimmy Greaves, and it's impossible to stop him anyway. From scoring goals,
Yeah.
you can try very hard, but if he's on his day, then
Don't you think the Derby defence should have been nearer that?
Well, I would give Jimmy Pierce the credit for that because it wasn't a cross; it was more a shot than a cross. Cross-come shot, and I think it was the speed of the ball, and it didn't give us enough time. You know, we had just semi-cleared it from a corner kick, and Jimmy whipped it in very
Interesting.
smartly.
He's another player that the crowd don't really accept there, and it's nice to hear you pay tribute to that skill, which sets up the chance for.
No, he's a
for
very
Greaves,
skillful
really.
player. Jimmy
Very
Pierce.
skillful.
think
I
he's
What
a
does he
good
need?
player.
Confidence?
The
as
last
much as
2 games, he's shown a lot of maturity to me for a young lad, you know. Against Bradford City, had a wonderful game. And yesterday, what he was lacking before in confidence, I think he got from Bradford City and against Derby yesterday.
Yeah.
He's by no mean player, this boy.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
I see a big change in him, really. I've only been away for 18 months, and I see a big change in Jimmy Pierce. He wasn't a regular when I was there. You know, he had the occasional game, but he's an established first-team player now. And
Good
playing
news
very
for
well.
Spurs, and a message to their fans to be patient. Now, this second goal, this I think showed in modern football how there's number 3 there. Very quickly, you can see him running back. That's Peter Daniel, the
Peter
right back.
Daniels, yes.
Alan's played the ball out there to Jimmy Greaves. We get a chance to look at Jimmy's swinger, his right foot, but what a lovely ball that is. Now, the point is, at that moment, as Alan Gilzean picks it up, you come into the picture in the middle of the screen there. Was Gilly offside when the ball was passed? Now, here we see the finish of it, a beautiful cross
Great
from
ball.
Gilzean.
Wonderful ball.
It defeats the goalkeeper. He's beaten completely. And there's Roger Morgan. All he's got to do is come in and scoop it into the net with the inside of his foot. But I understand that you still feel, even having seen that, Dave, that
Yeah, well,
Gilly
I
was
said last
offside.
night I was talking to Alan Gilzean, and I played him offside. You know, I was the last man anyway, and Gilly came across me and in front of me, and I let him go. I wanted him to keep running, which he did, but as he went out, he checked back slightly. But I would say we can't really get a true picture there, and I was wanting to bet him last night £1 that he was offside, and I would take him and let him be the referee today, so he'll be sitting watching.
well, I don't think the picture does really clear it up if we can be
You see, I
judged.
let him go. I mean, I can't afford to give anybody a start. So, especially Gilly.
Here's the speed with which modern
Yeah.
football works. He's made half a mistake, Daniel. In fact, he's had a shot at goal, and just watch, he doesn't get a chance to get back. This is how quickly the move is conceived, direct all the while, straight into the other penalty area. There's the cross, and you can see as Morgan puts it in, Daniel is a yard from catching him.
He done very well. He got back I mean, the pitch was very, very heavy yesterday, and he sprinted nearly 100 yards there.
How does an old man like you keep going with the pace of the game like that?
Peter Daniels, that's how he gets back. You see, he helps out.
I'm worried about
I couldn't have done it. I'd have probably been in the halfway line by then.
Mind you, it was a wonderful ball, Jim, from Alan Gilzine. It was probably the best ball of the afternoon, actually, to be honest. It was so perfect in the way he did it, in between the goalkeeper and Roger Morgan's right foot. It was a wonderful goal.
Do you think that that kind of skill wouldn't have been called for in football 5 years ago?
I think people had the skill 5 years ago, but probably it wasn't used 5 years ago as much as it is today, you know.
I mean, then the defences were easier to penetrate.
Yes,
now the ball's got to be as good as that, otherwise you don't make a chance.
Exactly. I think if the ball had been out of foot, and either way, you know, from the goalkeeper would have got it, or perhaps Peter Daniel in the meantime, if the ball had been behind Roger Morgan, he may have got a tackle in. But it was so perfect that all he had to do was just slide the ball in the net.
The pace, the time and everything, it's just beat the goalkeeper. It's just been fast enough to elude the goalkeeper. Yeah. And just absolutely perfect ball, really.
Talking of
but he saw
goals,
it before it came, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that he would have to decide what to do with it when he got to it, but he's already seen the situation and read it, Alan Gilzine.
Beautiful.
And played it. It was perfect.
Talking of perfect goals, Alan, thank you for providing us with goal number 3, but it was a goal for Derby yesterday.
I'm a charitable fella, Jim.
This is your moment of truth now, as a mistake by a player is registered to, I suppose, 4 million people at least. And here it is, Dave Mackay, of all people, taking the kick, and there's Peter Daniel running out with a first-time volley, which is a very good skill indeed, straight into the area. There's a bit of jostling and jumping goes on there. Everybody misses, and there you are, Alan, going in and thinking, I've got the ball. But Willie Carlin there, number 8, who you see stealing up behind you, thinks otherwise, slides full length, and I would hardly say crashes the ball into the net. He crashes his foot against the ball, but you can see even in slow motion that it almost doesn't reach the back of the net. What about that, Mr. Mallory?
I'd take the blame for that, Jim, definitely. I think I'd have taken quite a lot of stick, actually, from the players if we hadn't have won yesterday on that. But I definitely take the blame. I could have cleared the ball, but I thought, in the position I was, that nobody was the blind side of me, so I decided to run with the ball. And I think I pushed the ball a little bit too far, as you can see on the film. And little Willie, he's only about 3 foot nothing. He was down there much quicker than I was, you know, to get the ball in the back of the net.
It's a good player who knows when to give a goal away, Alan.
Well, yeah, as I say, Dave, he's a good pal, and I thought, well, it'd been much better if it was a bit closer.
Well, it made up, I think, Spurs win yesterday, made you happy, obviously, Alan, but it made up, on aggregate, Dave, are you claiming a victory?
Yes,
what was the result up at Derby? 5-0.
Yeah. We won on aggregate, but we'll take a game apiece, that's not bad.
Game apiece is not, it's a fair result.
If I'm going to lose a match, I'd rather lose to Tottenham than any other team.
Well, that's
quite
marvellous.
genuine, really.
And with that thought from Dave Mackay, may I thank you both for coming to the big match.
Thank you, Jim.
And I'm sure you'll agree with me that there is nothing more fascinating than hearing professionals talking about their own game. A wonderful conversation. But now it's time to look at some of your letters. And really, there's been quite a bit of controversy over that West Ham Cup defeat up at Middlesbrough last week. We hope to clear up a couple of points now. The decision in the Middlesbrough penalty area late in the game when West Ham got a free kick when we thought perhaps it might have been a penalty, and also a disallowed goal by Clyde Best quite early in the game. We'll look at both those incidents in slow motion. First of all, that Clyde Best goal that was disallowed early in the game, which in fact would have given West Ham a lead. Jimmy.
Well, we'll stop this, I think, at just a point that gives you a clue on the edge of your frame that Clive Best was in fact offside. There it is. I think you can see him just tightly in the corner of the screen, on the left-hand side there, beyond his man, even before that ball is kicked over. Now look how far beyond his man is. But without any question in my mind, having looked at this very closely a number of times, he was offside, and on this score, the West Ham fans have no grumble whatsoever.
So, on that occasion, we say the referee was right. But what about that other incident close to the end of the game in the Middlesbrough penalty area when West Ham were awarded an indirect free kick and so many people felt that it should have been a penalty? Jimmy, in fact, last week said that he thought it was a bad decision and invited referees to write to him to tell him why that decision was given. The Daily Mirror took up the story on Monday. Big match challenge. Why not a penalty? Well, why not a penalty indeed? And first of all, I think we ought to look at some of the referees' letters that have been sent to us. T. Havis of Aveley in Essex, the referee himself, says the West Ham player was clearly pushed and the penalty for this, according to law 12, is a direct free kick. In this case, a penalty.
Well, Mr. Haveley, although I'm not quite sure that the referee could clearly see a push, I think that you're nearer than most with that particular answer.
Colin Lewis of Pinner in Middlesex, the punishment for obstruction is an indirect free kick, whether it's in the area or not, he says.
Well, I don't think that could have been obstruction in any form whatsoever, because clearly Gates was always between Peters and the ball and never got between Peters and the ball.
J. Lazenby of Harrow in Middlesex. If, in the opinion of the referee, the tackle was dangerous, he was within his rights to give an indirect free kick for that reason.
Well, this was the only letter that suggested how an indirect could have been given following that incident. That's unless the referee went completely out of his mind, and congratulations on that particular letter.
And Mr. Buck invited Jimmy, in fact he issued him with a challenge to take a Class 3 referee's examination and see what he felt like then.
Well, Mr. Buck, I have passed my Grade 3 referee's examination, or the paper at least, and I do referee in charity games from time to time, so I appreciate most of the difficulties that referees have to put up with.
And two quick ones to finish with. Tom Lattimore of Northolt in Middlesex says that Jimmy Hill has set himself up as the great pretender and attempts to degrade referees on television. Meanwhile, Mr. T.S. Cooney, an Essex County referee from Harlow, says, I would like to say that referees are only human and are guilty of some alarming mistakes, but I would say that everyone is basically honest and tries to be fair all round.
Well, gentlemen, I do agree with both of those points to an extent. I'm sure referees are human, and I'm sure they're honest, and I'm sure they try to do the best that they can. But I am also sure that we don't try to degrade them on this programme. I think perhaps they really are oversensitive to criticism at times, and I think they must be judged on their actions. After all, instant decisions are made by Brian Moore when he does the commentaries. If he's wrong, the whole world sees it. Open goals are missed by players, and they're criticised on this programme. And even at this point of time, I'm making an instant decision as to what I will say about referees, and I'm content to be judged on my word. So please, gentlemen, we're not persecuting you. More often than not, we do prove you right, and that we're not think of you as beasts in the game who should never be allowed on the field. Referees, we like you, you do a wonderful job, but I'm going to look again, once more at this incident, and see which one of you, or you can see with me, which one of you has made the best interpretation of what it was all about. It was from a throw-in. There's Gates, the Middlesbrough centre-half, caught flat-footed to the moment. This is what starts it off. And there's the referee, Mr. Pugh, in a good position to see. Now watch just as Peters, for some reason, we know not why, goes flat on his face, and you can see Gates is clearly behind Peters and couldn't have been guilty of obstruction. What may have been the case was that he was guilty of dangerous play. We can see it again now. Decide for yourselves, is that dangerous play? Was it a push? Was it a shove? Was it a trip? Or what it was? That's the difficulty of a referee that has to make that decision. And I think that this programme is entitled to show it and to judge whether a referee was right or wrong. And referees can take comfort in the fact that nearly always, I reckon about 95% of the time, the camera proves them right. But often, there's the justice being done in the end, of course, although it wasn't a penalty given, a goal is scored.
In fact, that was a goal by Alan Stevenson, which couldn't quite pull it out of the fire for West Ham. They, of course, lost 2-1. Another incident that we showed last week has caused a good deal of letters to come into the big match office. It concerns Ian Hutchinson's long throws for Chelsea that we saw against Birmingham City. And Mr. L.G. Fry of Little Sandhurst, Camberley and Surrey, W. White, Stockwell, SW9, P. Saul of Hampton and Middlesex, and P. Kerins of Ewell in Surrey all say that these throws are foul throws. Jimmy.
Well, there it is. You can see quite clearly the left foot's on the ground, but before that ball is delivered, the right foot is not on the ground. So that particular throw is a foul throw, and if it'll help referees and linesmen to spot that in the future, then we will have been pleased to have done a service for them and done something which is quite useful for the game, because we like to see fair play too.
Again, thank you for your letters. We take a break here now. After that break, we can see highlights of Manchester United against Arsenal and our World Cup draw special with Malcolm Allison and Jeff Hurst. So stay with us for more soccer on The Big Match. I'm glad you're back. Well, now we have some more action from yesterday, another top First Division game. This time Manchester United against Arsenal up there at Old Trafford, where our commentator is Gerald Sinstadt, and where the pictures come from Granada Television, and where we have the first glimpse in an Arsenal shirt, albeit an Arsenal second shirt, their golden shirts, of Peter Marinello.
Burns. Marinello whistles from the crowd with his hair that length. He must expect this for a while in English football until people get used to him. It's a good return ball for him, and he'll catch it. Nice ball back. Conditions underfoot quite good this afternoon, softish, but a bit of mist drifting about the pitch. And that looks like the first corner of the game. Terry Neal has come up to the edge of the penalty area. Radford has retreated, but will run in to meet this. By the far post is Armstrong. Don't quite know what that was meant to be, but it certainly didn't work. Samuels. Story. Armstrong ghosting through. George Armstrong. Kidd can't quite make it, and Neal back to Wilson. Nelson, chance for a clear run. Radford here on the line. Armstrong. Morgan coming to challenge. Simpson. Armstrong. Simpson has gone ahead, calling for the pass that he's not going to get. One for Yor. Terry Neal. Nice flip through by Radford to Marinello. Chance for him here. Oh, what good footwork. Must make himself a goal, and he scored it! Linesman is flagging for something over that side. Free kick quickly taken anyway, Sartori. And again this break put on as soon as United reached the edge of the penalty area. Edwards chipped through to Kidd. Arsenal bodies dying in front of the ball every time there's any threat of a Manchester United attack. This is a well-organised defence. 10 yards off now, the Sergeant Major coming out in Mike Kirkhoff. Sartori on the right of that picture, Bobby Charlton on the left. Charlton directing, Sartori shaping to take the kick. Protesting that the line is not yet 10 yards back, and the referee agreeing. Good, firm refereeing. And he's got a name. Whose name has he taken? John Samuels. This is the 11th booking for an Arsenal player this season. That'll keep him back 10 yards. Now Charlton. And it's there! No, it's not, it's disallowed. Kidd was offside. And even Bobby Charlton goes over to protest. What an unusual sight. Bobby Charlton, who just doesn't believe in protesting the referees because referees don't change their mind, threaded that shot through the gap, but I think that Brian Kidd must have been offside. Referee very well placed. Burns. Kidd. Sartori. Aston, but caught for Arsenal. Muir's header, Samuels, Burns under it, Sartori. Referee has to give it. The fact that he's just disallowed a goal has got nothing to do with it, but you can understand why it incenses the crowd. Neil. Muir. Behrend. Sartori. Bobby Charlton. Marinello. What work by Marinello! Old Trafford will appreciate that. They know what wing play is here. Kidd. Simpson. What a push. Free kick given to Manchester United. Burns to take the free kick. This would be a good time for a goal. And there it is! Carlo Sartori, the scorer. Happy young man, the Manchester United substitute Sartori. It was his boot that got to that loose ball after Kidd had climbed high to Burns' free kick. 2 minutes of injury time we've had, and now the whistle goes. They go in at half-time with the score Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1. The scorers Peter Marinello for Arsenal. There he is, the new young boy from Hibernian, and the equaliser just on the interval by Carlo Sartori. Floodlights and mist, 1-1 the score, and all the makings of a real January afternoon of First Division football. And if the second half is as eventful as the first, we shall certainly be in for something. Sartori, Samuels, Marinello, caught, Radford, Edwards' clearance to Kidd, down to Charlton, Kidd running onto the return, Aston is with him, Aston going inside, backed away by Simpson, and very sensibly too. Much more direct looking attack that from United. Sartori with the throw-in. Kidd goes down again. Brian Kidd has certainly taken some stick in that penalty area. Referee coming across to the near touchline, but quite what to do I don't know. That's Jack Crompton treating Brian Kidd. Bobby Charlton, who on Wednesday stands to get his 98th cap for England when England play Holland at Wembley. And an Arsenal player getting some treatment as well there. It's centre-half Terry Neal. So both sides at full strength again. Morgan with the free kick. Good header by Edwards and a good save too by Wilson. Sadler it was who got above that crowd. Neil and Kidd there tussling together. Here's Morgan.
So Arsenal are beaten, but not at all a bad first game for Peter Marinello. Incidentally, I was interested in one quote of his this week where people have been calling him a second George Best. He said, "I'd prefer to be called the first Peter Marinello." Well, it shows a bit of character, and there really was a bit of character about the goal that he scored for Arsenal yesterday.
What I was impressed with, for a player who's a dribbler and gets his head down, was the way in which he composes himself before he actually puts the ball into the net. He gets a bit of luck before at the start of the movement. There's a lovely ball from Radford, and in fact Paddy Creran comes back there and actually wins the ball, but it hits Ian Ewer, and it's a lucky bounce for Peter Marinello, but I think he needed it with all the barracking he was getting. There was a beautiful skill to win. On his left foot he drags it back in front of him. Now look at the moment where he stops, thinks, gets his head up, assesses the position, and then calmly tucks it into the corner of the net. That shows the kind of composure that should augur well for Arsenal in the coming years. And there's the gesture, which I will forgive him for doing because the fans were giving him a lot of stick.
So much then for domestic action yesterday. Now let's look at World Cup news, and with that draw in Mexico City yesterday, 14 nations who'd battled, and I think that is probably the right word, through the qualifying rounds, plus England the holders and Mexico the host going into the hat. We're going to discuss the draw in some detail with action of all three of England's opponents. Remember, England have drawn a very difficult one indeed, with Romania, Brazil and Czechoslovakia in their group. We shall discuss this draw now, first of all with Malcolm Allison, coach to Manchester City, regarded now as one of the finest coaches in the modern game, and Geoff Hurst, scorer of those three memorable goals in the World Cup final of 1966, as well as our own Jimmy Hill, of course. But first of all, let's catch up on the draw as a whole. In Group 1, we have Russia, Mexico, Belgium and El